Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I'm Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about Hanna, Season 1, Episode 7. It is called Road, and it is the penultimate episode of the season, and we have Hanna with Eric, and they're well, he's on his way to Romania, because obviously we teased the Utrax facility. We see a bit more of it this episode. I imagine we'll see a lot more of it next episode, but
I would assume so, yeah.
But we get it's a pretty cool looking building, actually. It's got this sort of like four circle kind of layout.
It feels very modular.
Yeah.
It feels very spacey. If that
It
makes
does.
sense.
It feels like the sort of thing that could be like we've set down on Mars and this is the first thing we've built for.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So because that pod of it is the the garden, the botany stuff to grow things. That pod's the recreation.
Yeah.
That whatever.
But I'm okay with that. It's a cool design. I'd be okay with shifting to that for everything.
It looks neat.
Screw space. Let's just do that here.
So yeah, we got Eric and Hannah together, and we have them traveling through several countries, dropping off in Germany to see his mother, who we did meet once before when Marissa went to visit her, and she does not tell Eric about that. And
No.
she so Hannah gets to meet her kind of grandmother, because I mean it's all in the open now, but she knows he's not really her father, and you know, in fact, the goal here is to take Hannah to her biological father. Yeah, who and there's no implication that he was like. It sounds like it was like a one night stand or something, and there's no.
Yeah, he seems like a perfectly decent dude.
Yeah, and he's got a family now. He's got 3 kids, and she
but he's still very willing to take her in, and it's not being resentful. The wife seems pretty understanding about it all.
Yeah. There's a slight awkwardness to it, like there naturally should be, but it feels like everyone's kind of on board with trying to make it work.
Yeah.
The journey there though was quite interesting to me, and I actually quite liked this episode because it had this, like, even though obviously where it ends, it changes things up. It very does have this feeling like Eric has no plans to see Hannah once he's dropped her off. Like it has this feeling of, as we stop on the way there, you're going to meet my mother. You're going to see the motel where I was with your mother the night before she died. It's this kind of like walk down memory lane of things she's never experienced. It's like memory lane for him, but for her it's like getting all this new information.
It's her history, kind of.
Because he's not willing to tell her about Utrax and where he's going, but he is a lot more honest about her past, where she asks about it, and it's like, yeah, they were experimenting on babies. They were experimenting on genetics and seeing if they could improve people.
Yeah. She's like, look, they didn't really tell me about the science, so I just did recruitment.
Yeah, which tracks because that is what he did. He wouldn't know.
Yeah, no, it wasn't a lie, but it's more of a frustration in the sense of, we want answers as much as she does about the specifics of what it is she could potentially do, and he can't give us those answers.
Yeah, and I imagine we might get some teases of that at least next episode once we're actually at Utrax. And she realizes he's not coming back, and she actually kind of beats up her dad a little bit. just a touch, but
I mean, she does like throw him into this thing.
Yeah, it's like a dumpster, and then takes his car basically. Steals it. I mean, perhaps threatening him until he gives it to her is maybe a more accurate description.
Yeah,
but and I think Marissa was very interesting. I thought Marissa, she goes up because the mother calls Marissa and says he was here, left 3 hours ago by the time she arrives, and then Sawyer and his men show up, and she actually like takes a knife with her, right, thinking she might be in trouble. And sure enough, when she doesn't,
she is,
when she doesn't back down, Sawyer's like, all right, take her out, and they take her out to this, they're like, oh, there's an airstrip, just behind these trees, and she's like, she knows what they're doing. She's no fool.
Is there balls?
I actually thought this was a really impressive little fight scene with her.
I did too, yeah.
And I think what's really surprising about it is, obviously, we've had this expectation that she's very capable in what she does, but we've never actually seen evidence of her being like a physical agent who goes out and actually...
Yeah, she's never had to.
Yeah. So seeing this, it's very brutal and kind of like visceral, the way she kind of just has to quickly stab both the guys before they can get a shot off. It's very violent. It's a very good little scene. It
is, definitely.
I was impressed.
Great here.
Yeah, I was impressed. And And there's obviously another big action scene at the end. But what was interesting is she goes to the motel, knowing that that's where he's went before.
Yeah, and she goes to the room next door.
And she calls him, and they have this conversation. And I'm like, because her motivations become murkier, and obviously they were getting kind of murky last episode. And I think that when she went to therapy, and it was brought up that she had to kill all the other babies, right? She had to like take them out, and that may be weighing on her, and she kind of like basically says F off and doesn't want to talk about it. I think to an extent, like I believe she actually wants to kind of help Hanna. No, I actually believe she does, because I think the guilt of what she did to the rest of them, and the idea that there's one she can still actually save, is something that all these years have kind of piled up, and I can. So obviously the proposal to work with Eric doesn't go well. He doesn't trust her, obviously, and they have a bit of a standoff. But
I really like the moment where he realized on the phone with the hum of the heater.
No, it's good. It's good.
That was a nice touch.
And I think I like that it's not just a quick, okay, we're working together now. Although I can totally see in the next episode there being a moment where she does something to help them. Like,
possibly, yeah. It could also be a case of she doesn't tell him, but that he doesn't know about and doesn't see happen in that episode, and it's something that we'll kind of get in season 2.
Oh, sure, yeah. I think she's an interesting character who's gotten more interesting as it's going on, and the idea that she actually feels guilty about what she's done in the past and actually wants to help Hanna, even though she's still been clearly trying to kill Eric every step of the way.
Yeah, right up until it shows us any scene with her family, and then she gets more boring.
Sure, sure.
That one scene where he phones, and I'm just like, oh god, hang up, and she does quite quickly, thankfully.
Yeah, but I think he's done. I think he wants to leave her. And with the exception of maybe them being used as collateral at some point against her, I feel like
probably.
Hopefully there won't be much of them. They might even be dead by the end of the season. But it does make it more interesting for her character's point of view, though, that's why she does keep ignoring this new family she has, because she feels so responsible about Hanna that she has to just drop everything and go and deal with it. Yeah. And she can't tell him about it because not only is she breaking all the rules about telling civilians things, I think it's like she would have to admit what she did to explain why this matters so much.
And before she can even explain anything, Sawyer and the men in black suits all show up anyway, and Eric immediately goes, "Hey, they're with you. You led them here."
Oh, I meant her like a husband or a boyfriend.
Oh, you meant the husband? Okay, so I think you meant explain to Eric.
Oh, sure. I mean that too. I mean that works just as well, but I was talking about explain the idea she would have to admit what she did in the past, and the idea, would he look at her the same way? She, oh, by the way, I kind of had a hand in killing a bunch of babies, like that might.
Yeah. No, I'm with you now. I thought you meant in terms of trying to convince Eric why she was being genuine.
Yeah, obviously, Sawyer and his men do show up, and that kind of breaks up the almost truce that's kind of about to form. And he's pinned down. They've got like dozens of men on him, and I say dozens. It's like a dozen maybe, but enough, right? Enough that he's vastly outgunned.
Enough when it's against one dude.
Yeah.
And he's using it like a proper like a bolt action rifle as well. They've got all these automatic weapons.
Yeah, it's his dad's old hunting gun that he's using.
Yeah.
And Hanna comes speeding in and hits a couple of them with a car, and then we get another really good action scene where she's like just diving around, like taking dudes out.
One of the best action scenes of the show so far. I think the music really helped. Hanna being just really confident in what she was doing, and it wasn't like most of the fight scenes have been a survival thing.
Mm-hmm.
This is obviously a little bit more heroic, right? She was coming in being the savior.
Yeah. A little bit more, vicious in places than maybe you expect. Like she makes sure she's killing them. Like she's really doing that. I did laugh a lot when the car next to Sawyer blows up and he just goes flying to the side. For such a simple idea of him being next to an explosion, it was probably one of the most interesting visuals of it happening I've ever seen. Because it happens all the time in movies where someone's going to a car coming from a car.
Usually the person next to it, nothing happens. They're just engulfed in the flames and that's it.
Yes. Whereas this was like, no, he goes flying to the side, and I thought that was a really interesting visual. So
yeah, probably more realistic. The concussive force of it.
Maybe So they go off together, and I presume she's going to want to help the U-Tracks now. She's going to want to be involved in that.
So yeah.
And he's going to realize that he can't stop her. So because she's a goddamn Terminator.
I'm glad Sawyer's over and done with. Because he was a bit boring, wasn't
he? He was a bit boring. Yeah, he was answering to someone. We had a couple of phone calls this episode with some.
Yeah, probably someone in the Utrecht building.
Some woman high up in charge. I was getting Amanda Waller vibes from this phone call.
I can see that.
That's what I was getting from it. Yeah, but yeah, we get a couple of scenes. There's the one girl. It was like
249,
whatever her number was, because they always got numbers. But she seemed to be kind of distracted and not necessarily being as disciplined as they would like. So yeah. I think whenever we get to the next episode, I think she'll be the main one that Hanna deals with or interacts with.
Almost certainly. Yeah. We get that great scene of seeing just how good her hearing is.
Oh yeah, the window. Yeah.
Hearing there the phone call, like across the building. That was kind of cool. Because obviously we've always seen Hanna being above normal. Like she can hear things that are just out of range, but it usually feels like things that are not hugely out of the realms of possibility. Right? It's just a bit above everyone else. Whereas this was bordering on Superman hearing.
which makes me wonder, like, are they better than Hanna, or has Hanna just not learned to hone it? Is she just
is it just their training?
Because Eric
so rigorous
has taught her very well about everything he can teach her, but he wouldn't know what skills to develop in terms of extra things.
Absolutely, like you say, so, he didn't know the science. He wasn't part of that.
So he taught her how to hunt, he taught her language, he taught her all these things, and she was clearly very good at picking all these things up.
And the enhanced ability she does have, like the hearing, is more just natural instinct and like a base level rather than having been practiced to hear better, which presumably these students, if we could call them that, have.
Yes. I'm really interested to get to season 2 after the next episode as to where Marissa is in terms of like an uneasy ally, someone who, like, assuming she doesn't die, of course. I mean,
I can see her dying the noble death to save Hanna, or maybe even someone else at the Utrecht.
I think she's more interesting as the better actor than Eric is, so I kind of hope he's the one who has the heroic sacrifice.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's a bad actor though.
Oh, he's not terrible by any means. I think she's impressed me more with her little.
That's fair.
Her little quirks and her little tics, and I think the story's a bit more interesting because she has been so kind of the villain. But
I get that. I do think I prefer Hanna playing off Eric than Marissa though.
Okay.
But I mean, I'm not too annoyed either way. I'm fairly sure one of them's dead.
All right, odds are. Well, I mean, watch this; they'll both be alive at the end of the next episode.
I know.
Just to make us look like fools. Can't be having it. But actually, the end of the episode was great. As was the one with Marissa, with the two henchmen did. That's the henchmen.
There's some really great direction. All the stuff in the cars just looked great.
There was a great atmosphere this episode, actually, because I mean, Hannah's kind of had this little kind of woodwind theme that they've been using.
On the flute as well comes in.
Yeah. They used that a lot this episode, and it was really giving me again kind of a return to episode 1 vibe where she's with Eric for as far as he's concerned the last time, and it gave it that kind of vibe, and I thought that was really smart. So
that was nice.
Yeah. But no, it's a good. There you go.
It's pretty good. I like this one.
Yes. I'm glad it's renewed. Now that we're getting towards the end and it's kind of picked up, maybe a slight lull in the middle, but like now that it's really picking up.
I feel like it's more of a shame when it's only 8 episodes that you got a lull in the middle. I feel like when there's 13 episodes, I find that a bit more forgivable.
It's weird though, because 8 episodes, even though it's like almost 8 full hours, right? It does start to feel more like a longer movie than it does a TV show. There's a weird sort of mishmash area where the way because in the one hand, each episode's done a really good job of feeling distinct and feeling like
it's moved and it's felt like, no, this is an episode.
But at the same time,
it's felt like that.
When I look at the structure of the season overall, and I won't be able to say this definitively until I've seen the last episode, but it really does have that structure of a movie where it quietens down in the middle. It's interesting.
No, I agree with that in terms of when you look at it overall. It's just a little frustrating when it's if you've got 2 episodes that are a bit duller in the middle of an 8 episode, that's that's a quarter of your show. Whereas 2 out of 13 in the middle of a season, you don't feel it as much overall. I don't think, or at least I don't. So I think when it's down to 8, I expect it to be a little bit tighter, maybe just better paced. I think more than tighter.
Okay.
Even though it's been quite good.
But yeah, that's episode 7. So we will see you next time for the finale. So let us know what you thought of episode 7 of Hanna in the comments below. Like and subscribe, all that stuff. Guys on the Twitters at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support the show and the channel and everything we do here, head over to patreon.com/mailfuzztv. We can support us for as little as $1 per month and keep all the reviews and content coming. But otherwise, that's us. So thank you once again for watching and listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV, guys. Have you got any vanilla?